In this lesson, you're going to learn English with the news. We're going to read an article together about a meeting between Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau. And you'll learn advanced vocabulary, advanced grammar, and correct pronunciation. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started.
Let's review the headline. Trudeau in Florida to meet Trump after tariff threat. So, of course, we're talking about President-elect Donald Trump and Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Now, notice in the headline that there are some words missing. There are some auxiliary verbs and some articles. Do you know what words are needed grammatically to turn this headline into a full sentence? What do you think? Trudeau in Florida? Perhaps we need a verb. Trudeau, he is in Florida. Trudeau is in Florida to meet Trump. This is acceptable simply using the last name of the person to meet Trump after tariff threat. So threat is a noun. Tariff is the adjective that describes the threat. So we need an article to go with this noun. You can use after a tariff threat. A means any, it's a general threat, or the tariff threat, meaning a specific one. Now let's talk about what a threat is. So a threat is an action that has negative consequences, and you use it to influence or pressure someone else. So let's take a look at this example. You could say this to me. Jennifer, if you don't make new videos weekly, I'll unsubscribe. Okay, so the action with negative consequences is that you will unsubscribe, which isn't positive for me. That hurts my channel. So that is absolutely a negative consequence for me. And you are saying this to influence me or to pressure me. To do what? To make new videos weekly. And the verb form of a threat is threaten, to threaten. Okay, so I could say she or he threatened to unsubscribe if I don't make new videos weekly. But don't worry, you don't need to threaten me because I am already committed to making new videos weekly for you. So if you are excited, put let's go in the comments. And don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's continue on and learn about this threat. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in Florida. So here we have our is because now we're using full sentence structure, which commonly isn't done in headlines. Is in Florida to meet Donald Trump as Canada seeks to head off the president-elect's threat to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. So this is the threat. This is the potential negative consequence. And notice here, threat, this is our noun. We know because there's an article, but also because the verb form, remember, is threaten, threaten. So you have to add that en, threaten. And notice how this T isn't overly pronounced in American English. Threaten, threaten, threaten. The verb form would be either Trump threatened because it's a past simple action. He already did it. So notice the pronunciation, threatened, just a soft D at the end. Trump threatened, or it could be in progress. He's doing it now, so the present continuous. Trump is threatening, and then our infinitive, to impose, to do something, I spelled tariff wrong, to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. So this is the potential negative consequence. Now notice goods has an S on it. So of course with the adjective good, we don't add an S, but here as the noun, this is the noun goods, goods and services. So this has an S on it. Let's review the phrasal verb to head off. And you head off something, in this case, the threat, Donald Trump's threat. Now, this means to prevent something negative, but we really use this in more emergency situations or crisis situations. So to urgently prevent. We don't use this in a more casual, oh, I need to prevent a bad night's sleep, for example. We really use it in very strong situations. We need to act quickly to head off the flood because the flood is an emergency and we need to urgently prevent this. And having a 25% tariff, that is an emergency, an economic emergency. So it's understandable that head off is used in this context. Let's continue on. Our last part we didn't review, a source. A source is a person who shares information anonymously, so they don't reveal their identity. A source has confirmed to the BBC. Canadian media reported that Trudeau landed on Friday. So that means he arrived by plane because that is the verb we use only for planes, landed. That Trudeau landed on Friday evening to visit Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
The two, of course, this means Trudeau and Trump, the two men, the two people, the two, or we could say the two leaders as well. The two spoke by phone earlier in the week after Trump announced that upon taking office in January, he would slap an across-the-border tariff on all products entering the US from Mexico and Canada. Okay, so Mexico is involved in this as well. Let's go back and look at by phone because you may be more familiar perhaps with on the phone. Both of them are possible. By phone sounds a little more formal, which is understandable why it's used in this context. But let's say that your husband, sister, friend says, hey, do you have a sec? Do you have a second? Do you have a sec? A very common way to ask if someone is available and free. Do you have a sec? And the person can reply back and say, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone. So here in this context, when you use the verb to be, you must use on the phone. You can't say by phone. This is the method of communication, but this is the current state. I'm on the phone. Now let's look at upon taking office in January. Upon means immediately after. So he took office or he will take office in January. This hasn't happened yet. And then immediately after, this tariff is going to start. He's going to impose the tariff. That's the verb that you can use in a more formal way, to impose a tariff. That's when the tariff officially starts or is in effect. So you can say immediately after, and then you can continue on with your gerund because after is a preposition, upon is a preposition. Now, this also means as soon as. So upon, immediately after, as soon as, they're synonyms. If you use as soon as, you can't use the gerund next. You have to use the subject and then the present simple. As soon as he takes. As soon as he takes. So not the future simple, the present simple, as soon as he takes. Now you could also say immediately after he takes office, but you couldn't say upon he takes office. So remember these different structures. Let's continue. Upon taking office in January, he would slap an across-the-board tariff on all products. Okay, let's review this verb because slap is when you hit with your hand like that. So in this case, you can think of it as to impose, introduce, or enforce, but in a sudden or forceful way, just like when you slap, it's usually sudden and forceful as well. In a professional context, you could say the new CEO slapped strict rules on employees. So enforced or introduced. And because slap is a verb, you need to conjugate it. So in this case, it's in the past simple. The new CEO slapped with a soft T. Slapped. Slapped. So in this case, he would slap an across the border tariff. An across the board tariff, this means that the tariff would apply to everything across the board. Now, in this case, across the board is negative because it means that all products will have this tariff, but you could use it in a positive way. The new CEO introduced an across the board bonus plan. So across the board is an adjective. In this case, it describes the bonus plan, and it sounds like it means it is for all, for everyone. So it's not just for the sales department, it's for sales, marketing, administration, everyone across the board. So it can be positive as well. But because it's positive, I wouldn't use slap because slap sounds like it's negative. So I changed it to introduced. The new CEO introduced an across the board bonus plan. Woohoo! Let's continue. Neither the Prime Minister's office, so in this case, it's not Justin Trudeau who is the Prime Minister, it's the Prime Minister's office. So it's the office, the people who work for the Prime Minister. Neither the Prime Minister's office nor Trump's team have responded to a request for comment on the visit. Neither nor. Does the use of that confuse you? Do you feel a little intimidated using it? Well, don't worry, even native speakers get this one wrong. So let's review that. Neither nor are used as negation. So neither X nor Y means not X, not Y. Neither John nor Mary can present. This means John cannot present, Mary cannot present. But if you change that to either X or Y, this means only one, not both. Either John or Mary can present. One person can present, not both. In this case, we don't know who will present, but we know it will be one. And with neither, it's zero. So in this case, it means the Prime Minister's office didn't comment and Trump's team didn't comment. The trip was not included on Trudeau's public itinerary for Friday. Do you know what an itinerary is? An itinerary, repeat after me, itinerary. An itinerary is a detailed plan or schedule of activities. And we generally prepare this for a trip or an event. So here is not a detailed one. You would have a lot more details, but it would tell you, okay, 8 o'clock, breakfast. And it would probably include the location and even the transportation options. So you would include more details than just breakfast. 10, museum. Again, address, how will you get there? 11, tour. So maybe you have a tour booked at the museum. It starts at 11 and then you continue on 6:30 dinner and then you just continue on. So it would be your day from start to finish and everything that you're going to do. This is similar to an agenda, but it's more the context. So an agenda is a list of tasks or topics, and it's generally used for meetings, discussions, or events. So the agenda would include what are you discussing or what are you doing. So for your personal trips, you would plan an itinerary. For your work day, you could have an agenda. So the trip taking place here was not included on Trudeau's public itinerary for Friday. This sounds like it wasn't publicly advertised. They didn't want a lot of people to know about it. The two men will have dinner, a source said. So again, a source is someone who is sharing this information anonymously to protect their identity for whatever reason. Trump has been at his Mar-a-Lago estate. So in this case, the his belongs to Donald Trump because Donald Trump is the one who owns the Mar-a-Lago estate. Trump has been at his Mar-a-Lago estate meeting with his transition team. Trudeau is reported to be the first G7 leader to visit the president-elect since the election. Notice here how they use reported to be. Reported to be. The use of this word is important because it suggests that this may not be true. So he is reported to be, people think he is, but remember, meetings take place in private and the public may not know of other meetings that have taken place. So that's why they use reported, because it cannot be 100% confirmed. This is commonly used as an adverb. And again, it is important because it changes the meaning. If you said she threatened to quit without reportedly, it sounds like a statement of fact. But if you add in, she reportedly threatened to quit, this means someone told me this happened, but I'm not 100% it's true. So it really does change the meaning. It's an important use and a good word to remember, and it can be used as the adjective form here and the adverb as well. Let's continue. Trudeau has often underscored that the two countries, Canada and the US, because you need the in front of United States, that the two countries were able to successfully renegotiate. So when you add re before the verb, notice that pronunciation, it's a strong E, renegotiate, and it means to do the verb again. So I recommend that you rewatch this lesson because you need to learn everything in detail, and most likely you need to rewatch it to make sure you fully understand everything that I'm teaching right now. So what did they negotiate again? A major trade pact during Trump's first term, his first term as president. Before we move on, let's talk about underscore as a verb. To underscore means to emphasize or highlight and is conjugated in the present perfect. And when you emphasize, highlight, underscore, you make something clear, obvious, well-known. It's actually the same as the verb to highlight, which is what I just did to the word successfully. And why do I highlight things here? To make them more obvious, more clear, to make them stand out, more visible. So that's what emphasize, highlight, and underscore mean. So to give an example, previously, Jennifer underscored, I underscored, this is the verb, so here it's in the past simple. Jennifer underscored the importance of rewatching this lesson. So notice this structure, you can use the importance of and then your gerund because of is a preposition. Jennifer underscored, highlighted, emphasized the importance of rewatching this lesson. And that's true. I did that a few minutes ago. Let's continue on. Though the relationship between the two leaders, Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump, has occasionally been rocky. Oh, what do you think? Does this mean their relationship has been positive or negative? What would you say? Happy face, thumbs up, or frowny face, thumbs down? Has occasionally been rocky. So notice this verb here, the verb to be conjugated in the present perfect. So we have to be rocky. Rocky is our adjective. Well, this is negative because it means to have difficulties or challenges. So you describe something as rocky, their marriage, their relationship, their business partnership is rocky. And it means that they are having challenges, they are having difficulties. There's another expression that is also commonly used, especially with personal relationships. Their marriage is on the rocks, on the rocks. And it means the exact same thing, which is to be rocky. Their marriage is rocky, their marriage is on the rocks. So though the relationship between the two leaders has occasionally had challenges, had difficulties, has occasionally been rocky. Let's continue. On Friday, speaking at an event in Prince Edward Island, this is a location in Canada, in Prince Edward Island, Trudeau said the two countries rolled up our sleeves. So notice this is in quotation marks, which means Trudeau said this. So he would have said, we rolled up our sleeves, because the two countries, but as a subject, it would have been Trudeau's country and Donald Trump's country. So coming from Trudeau, he would have said, we rolled up our sleeves and we were able to create jobs on both sides of the border. So it means in Canada and in the US. The US, don't forget that, in Canada, in the US, both sides of the border. To roll up one's sleeves is an idiom which means to prepare for hard work. And roll up is if you had long sleeves and you moved them up, to roll up your sleeves, which you might do before you start working. So I could say to my students, let's roll up our sleeves and learn the present perfect. Now, by saying this suggests that learning the present perfect is hard work, because you use this expression before hard work. So if you're ready to roll up your sleeves and improve your English fluency, put let's go in the comments. He said he looked forward to having many great conversations with Trump. So the he is Justin Trudeau, because he was the last speaker, our last noun. So he said he looked forward to. Don't forget that the expression is to look forward to something. Now, because to belongs to the expression look forward to, is followed by the verb in ing. This is a mistake I see a lot of students make. Now, you can use the gerund verb or a noun following look forward to. Look is your verb, so this is what you conjugate, in this case, the past simple. So hopefully you're thinking right now, I look forward to your next lesson. So this is the noun. What if I wanted to add a gerund? What could I say, or what could you say in this case? I look forward to watching your next lesson. So in this case, having doesn't need to be there, because many great conversations with Trump is the noun. And you can look forward to many great conversations with Trump without the noun. But if you add that noun, or the verb, if you add the verb, make sure it's the gerund, your verb with ing. The Florida visit is the latest move by Canada as it seeks to avoid the hefty tariffs. Okay, so notice here, the Florida, the is not attached to Florida. That would be grammatically incorrect, because Florida does not take an article. The United States, as an exception, uses an article. So why is the here? Because it's the visit. Visit is your noun. The visit, what type of visit? The Florida visit. So Florida describes the visit. The Florida visit is the latest move by Canada as it seeks to avoid the hefty tariffs. What does hefty mean? So it's an adjective. It describes the tariffs. Well, you might get the sense that they're large or severe. Large or severe. You can use this to describe a quantity, like here, tariffs. That would be the quantity, the amount, 25%. Wow, that's hefty. You could say that's a hefty fine that you have to pay for perhaps a parking ticket, or that's a hefty punishment. That sounds more like a severe punishment, because it doesn't sound like there is an amount attached to that punishment. Or that's a hefty donation. That sounds like an amount. And in this case, it's positive that it's hefty. So it can be negative with a fine or a tariff, but it can also be positive with a donation. Or you can also use this to mean large in terms of physical size. That's a hefty box as well. So Canada seeks to avoid the hefty tariffs, which could have wide-reaching economic impacts. You could also use the across the board economic impacts, but if you say that, it means that this tariff would impact every sector, every area of the economy in Canada. So I'm not sure if that's true, but you could technically say that. Could have across the board economic impacts. And that's the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Trudeau in Florida to meet Trump after tariff threat. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in Florida to meet Donald Trump as Canada seeks to head off the president-elect's threat to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian goods, a source has confirmed to the BBC. Canadian media reported that Trudeau landed on Friday evening to visit Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate. The two spoke by phone earlier in the week after Trump announced that, upon taking office in January, he would slap an across-the-border tariff on all products entering the U.S. from Mexico and Canada. Neither the Prime Minister's office nor Trump's team have responded to a request for comment on the visit. The trip was not included on Trudeau's public itinerary for Friday. The two men will have dinner, a source said. Trump has been at his Mar-a-Lago estate meeting with his transition team. Trudeau is reported to be the first G7 leader to visit the president-elect since the election. Trudeau has often underscored that the two countries were able to successfully renegotiate a major trade pact during Trump's first term, though the relationship between the two leaders has occasionally been rocky. On Friday, speaking at an event in Prince Edward Island, Trudeau said the two countries rolled up our sleeves and were able to create jobs on both sides of the border. He said he looked forward to having many great conversations with Trump. The Florida visit is the latest move by Canada as it seeks to avoid the hefty tariffs, which could have wide-reaching economic impacts.
Do you want to keep learning English with the news? If you do, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And I have another lesson I know you'll love, so make sure you watch it now.